the ancient and untamed wilderness of the world, where the skies were vast and the mountains high, two formidable figures met under the canopy of a star-studded sky. One was Wukong, the Monkey King, whose eyes gleamed with a cunning light, a warrior with a penchant for mischief and a heart that beat for freedom. The other was the Bull Demon King, a creature of immense strength, whose hooves could shake the earth and whose roar could part the clouds. They met not by chance, but by the whimsical will of fate, each recognizing in the other a kindred spirit, one who defied the celestial order, who laughed in the face of the heavenly mandates. Over a shared flask of fiery wine, they spoke of dreams and rebellion, of a world where the heavens did not dictate their actions. Their laughter echoed through the mountains, a sound that was half joy and half defiance. "Wukong," said the Bull Demon King, a mischievous grin playing on his lips, "why not join forces? Together we could shatter the very foundations of the heavenly order. Who could stand against us?" Wukong, his eyes twinkling like the northern star, nodded. "Brother Bull, I've long sought a comrade with the fire in his belly to challenge the heavens. From this day forth let us be sworn brothers, bound not by blood but by spirit and purpose." And so, under that vast sky, with the moon as their witness, they sealed their pact. They became brothers in arms, united against the divine forces that sought to bind them. The world was theirs for the taking, and together they would carve their names into the annals of history. The alliance of Wukong and the Bull Demon King became a force to be reckoned with. They stormed across the lands, from the fiery pits of the underworld to the sacred groves of the heavens, leaving a trail of chaos in their wake. Their names were whispered with a mix of fear and admiration among both mortals and immortals. They were like twin dragons, their strength and cunning complementing each other perfectly. Wukong's agility and wit paired well with the Bull Demon King's sheer power and ferocity. Together they toppled celestial armies, outwitted the gods, and made a mockery of the so-called divine order. During these days of rebellion, their friendship deepened. They shared tales of past glories and future dreams, of triumphs and near escapes. In each other they found a brother who understood their thirst for freedom, their desire to live life on their terms, unshackled by the dictates of the Jade Emperor. One evening, as they sat on a high peak overlooking the world they sought to conquer, the Bull Demon King turned to Wukong with a thoughtful gaze. "Wukong, it seems there's nothing we cannot achieve together. The heavens tremble at our names and the earth yields to our desires. What do you dream of next?" Wukong, his eyes reflecting the setting sun, smiled. "Brother Bull, I dream of a world where we are not bound by rules or gods, a world where freedom reigns and power is ours to command." The Bull Demon King laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that shook the very stones beneath them. "Then we shall make it so, Wukong. Together, we shall reshape the world in our image." But time, as it often does, brought changes neither of them could foresee. The heavens, tired of their defiance, laid a cunning trap for Wukong, and in a moment of arrogance, he was captured. The mighty Monkey King, the great sage equal to heaven, found himself bound beneath the Five Elements mountain, a prisoner to his own pride and the gods' relentless pursuit of order. 500 years passed, a blink of an eye for the immortal, yet long enough for memories to fade and friendships to wane. The Bull Demon King, left to his own devices, retreated into his domain, focusing on his family and his realm. Without his sworn brother by his side, the fires of rebellion cooled, replaced by a quieter life, one where he could protect what was his without the constant threat of celestial retribution. When Wukong was finally freed, it was not to resume his life of rebellion, but to undertake a divine mission, to accompany the monk Tong Sanzong on a pilgrimage to the west. As he journeyed, he found himself on a path that led not to glory, but to redemption, a path that required him to make amends for his past misdeeds, to face old friends turned foes. It was during this pilgrimage that he encountered Red Boy, the son of his old brother, the Bull Demon King. Red Boy, inheriting his father's strength and his own fiery nature, stood as a new challenge. The young demon, with his mastery of flames, blocked their path with fire that could not be extinguished by ordinary means. Red Boy was no ordinary adversary. His skill with fire was legendary. He summoned the Samadhi fire, a blaze that could incinerate even the strongest of warriors, reducing them to mere ashes. He unleashed the fiery eyes and golden pupils, eyes that could see through illusions and detect the faintest of movements, and the heavenly fire shield, a barrier of flames that rendered him nearly invincible. "Great sage," Red Boy taunted, flames dancing around him, "you may have once been my father's equal, but you shall not pass here. This is my domain, and I will not yield it to you or your monk." Wukong, though longing for the days of camaraderie with his old friend, knew he had no choice. He tried to reason with Red Boy, but the demon's fiery pride and youthful arrogance knew no bounds. Left with no alternative, Wukong engaged him in battle. The clash was fierce and furious. Wukong leapt and spun, his staff swinging with the force of a tempest, but Red Boy's flames were relentless. Wukong, seeing that brute force would not suffice, decided to outwit him. Using his 72 transformations, Wukong turned into a giant wind, extinguishing the flames around them momentarily, and then transformed into a swarm of bees, swarming Red Boy and distracting him. In the chaos, Wukong reverted to his true form, and with a swift, decisive strike of his magical staff, he knocked Red Boy unconscious. Realizing the boy was still dangerous even in defeat, Wukong bound him with an unbreakable chain and summoned the Bodhisattva Guanyin to take him away, ensuring he could cause no further harm. This conflict set the stage for what was to come, for as they journeyed further west, the fires of the past would ignite once more, this time fueled by anger and betrayal. The journey was far from over, and Wukong would soon find that the bonds of brotherhood, once broken, were not so easily mended. As Wukong and his companions journeyed further west, they soon found themselves at the foot of the fiery mountains, a daunting barrier of intense heat and roaring flames. The inferno stretched as far as the eye could see, its fire so fierce that even the ground seemed to melt under its relentless assault. No mortal or immortal could pass through without being reduced to ash. Wukong, ever the resourceful one, scoured the area for a solution. It was then that he heard the tales whispered by the local villagers of a magical item that could quell the insatiable flames. The plantain fan, wielded by none other than the Iron Fan Princess, the wife of his old brother, the Bull Demon King. He remembered her well, a formidable woman as strong-willed as she was fierce, known for her mastery over the mystical fan that could create winds powerful enough to extinguish even the fiercest fire. But Wukong also knew that his recent encounter with Red Boy, her son, would not bode well for his request. The young demon had been subdued and taken by Guanyin, and surely his mother would not have forgotten or forgiven this. Turning to his companions, Wukong explained their predicament. "Master," he said to Tang Sanzang, "we need the plantain fan to cross this inferno. I must go to the Iron Fan Princess and request her aid, though I fear she may not be so willing to help, given what has transpired with her son." Tang Sanzang, ever the serene monk, nodded. "Do what you must, Wukong, but remember, violence begets more violence. Seek a peaceful resolution if you can." With a nod of understanding, Wukong set off for the Iron Fan Princess's abode. As he approached her palace, nestled amidst jagged rocks and the ever-present heat of the mountain, he could feel the tension in the air, a palpable reminder of the strained ties between old allies. Wukong found the Iron Fan Princess in her grand hall. Her expression, as cold as the fire of the fiery mountains, was hot. She sat on her throne, the plantain fan clutched tightly in her hand. Her eyes narrowed as she saw him approach, her anger simmering just beneath the surface. "Wukong," she hissed, her voice filled with a quiet fury. "You dare show your face here after what you did to my son? Do you think I would easily forgive such an affront?" Wukong bowed respectfully, yet his voice carried the urgency of their situation. "Iron Fan Princess, I did not come to rekindle old grudges. I seek your help to extinguish the flames of the fiery mountain so that my master and I may continue our journey to the west. The matter with Red Boy was unfortunate, but it was necessary for our mission." Her eyes flashed with anger, and she tightened her grip on the fan. "Necessary? You defeated my son, my only child, and delivered him to the gods. Do you think mere words can erase that betrayal? No, Wukong, you will leave this place empty-handed." Realizing that words alone would not suffice, Wukong knew he had to be clever. As he left her palace, he pondered his next move. He decided to employ a strategy he had used many times before: deception. Transforming himself into the form of the Bull Demon King, he adopted the swagger and confidence of his old brother. Returning to the Iron Fan Princess's palace, he approached her with all the authority he could muster. "Lady," he said, his voice mimicking the deep tones of the Bull Demon King perfectly, "the monkey is cunning and will not easily give up. Give me the fan for safekeeping. It's best we keep it out of his reach." The Iron Fan Princess, seeing who she thought was her husband, nodded in agreement, her anger momentarily soothed by his presence. "You are right, my lord. That monkey is a trickster. He cannot be trusted. Here, take the fan and ensure he never lays a finger on it." As she handed over the plantain fan, Wukong felt a pang of guilt, but his resolve remained firm. Disguised as the Bull Demon King, he accepted the fan with a respectful bow and left the palace quickly. Once outside, Wukong shed his disguise and raced back to his companions, the fan in hand. But his success was short-lived. No sooner had he begun to wave the fan over the fiery mountains than he realized the trickery he had used was about to be repaid in kind. The Iron Fan Princess had given him a fake fan, one that did nothing to quell the flames, but instead stirred them into an even greater fury. He gritted his teeth, recognizing that his deception had only made matters worse. Determined not to be outdone, Wukong resolved to face the Iron Fan Princess again, knowing that this time the confrontation would not be so easily resolved. Wukong, determined to succeed despite the setback, returned to the Iron Fan Princess's palace, his mind racing with strategies. He knew that brute force or deceit alone wouldn't work this time. He needed a different approach to gain the plantain fan. As he entered the palace for the second time, the Iron Fan Princess was waiting for him, her expression even more guarded than before. She had realized his trick and her fury was palpable. "You dare come back, Wukong!" she spat, her eyes burning with rage. "You deceived me with your disguise, stole from me, and thought you could get away with it? You will not leave here unscathed this time." Wukong, sensing the intensity of her anger, decided to change tactics. "Iron Fan Princess," he began, bowing deeply, "I apologize for my deceit. It was wrong of me to trick you, but I am desperate to complete my mission. The fiery mountains are impossible to cross without your help. I beg you please lend me the real plantain fan." Her eyes narrowed, mistrust evident. "Why should I believe you now after all your lies and tricks? You speak of a mission, but what of my son, Red Boy? What of the pain you have caused my family?" Wukong lowered his gaze, acknowledging her pain. "I cannot undo what has been done, but I am truly sorry for the suffering I have caused. This journey to the West is more than just a mission. It is a path to enlightenment, a chance to atone for my past sins. I seek your aid not as an enemy, but as a fellow being seeking redemption." The Iron Fan Princess seemed to consider his words for a moment, but before she could respond, a thunderous roar echoed through the palace. The Bull Demon King, having been alerted to Wukong's deception, stormed into the hall, his eyes blazing with fury.
"Wukong,"
he bellowed, his voice a deep rumble that shook the walls.
"You have dishonored my family and tricked my wife. Today you shall pay for your deceit."
With no time to respond, Wukong was thrust into a fierce battle with the Bull Demon King. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they clashed, each blow resonating with the force of their long-held grudges. The Bull Demon King charged with his horns, his brute strength matched only by his unyielding anger. Wukong, agile and quick, dodged the Bull Demon King's attacks, wielding his staff with precision. "Brother Bull, I have no desire to fight you," Wukong shouted over the din of battle. "I only seek the plantain fan to fulfill my mission. There is no need for us to be enemies." But the Bull Demon King was beyond reason. "You tricked my wife and harmed my son," he roared, launching another powerful strike. "I will not rest until I have avenged my family's honor." The battle raged on, neither side willing to give ground. As they fought, Wukong realized that he could not defeat the Bull Demon King with strength alone. He needed help. Calling upon his companions, Wukong cried out, "Brother Pigsy, Brother Sandy, aid me in this battle, for I cannot defeat him alone." Pigsy and Sandy, hearing Wukong's plea, rushed to his side. Together, the three of them fought as one, their combined strength proving too much for the Bull Demon King. With Pigsy's brute force, Sandy's agility, and Wukong's cunning, they managed to overwhelm him. The Bull Demon King, realizing he was outmatched, tried to retreat, but it was too late. With a swift maneuver, Wukong struck him down, binding him with his magical golden bands. The Bull Demon King, now captured, struggled against his bonds, but they held firm. "Enough, Brother Bull," Wukong said, panting heavily from the exertion. "This fight serves no one. I did what I must for my mission, but I do not wish to be your enemy. Please let us end this senseless conflict." The Bull Demon King, exhausted and defeated, finally relented. "Very well, Wukong," he said, his voice heavy with resignation. "Take the plantain fan and go. But know this, our friendship will never be the same." Wukong nodded solemnly, understanding the gravity of the situation. He took the real plantain fan from the Iron Fan Princess, who watched with a mixture of anger and sadness. With a heavy heart, Wukong returned to the fiery mountains, using the fan to extinguish the flames and clear the path for their journey. As they continued westward, Wukong couldn't shake the feeling of loss. The battle had been won, but at the cost of a cherished friendship. The journey to the west, he realized, was not just about seeking scriptures, but also about facing the consequences of one's actions and the ever-changing nature of relationships.